of the United and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You got it on?
Yep, we're all good to go.
We're rocking and rolling. A consideration of the agenda, please.
That would be the motion. to accept the agenda.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Lily, is this an aye or an abstain? Can you mute?
You would still be okay with the agenda, you just can't do anything with the action other than discuss.
Aye.
Thank you, Rob. Any public comments? No? Okay, action item, consideration to approve the 4-day school week. Now, are we doing that? All right, we're just gonna discuss. We're not gonna make any motion. So,
All right, so we went and we sent out the survey that the board asked us to send out, basically making available for any parents or community members or teachers or anyone to turn in questions about the 4-day concerns. We had 5 responses, one of which was from a staff member, so 4 from the community. 3 of them asked us only were to state their opinion on Monday versus Friday. The one that was actually a question was just asking how our days would compare on our mock schedules that we sent out to other school districts and questions about the hours. So I did reply to that one, that person, and then the staff member asked some questions about the calendar and what the half-day PIRs were. So I met with that staff member and explained it. So we didn't get any other submissions at all from anyone. We then sent out, Miss Teresa, I'm just gonna claim her as myself. We sent out a paper to have teachers, they would email Miss Shannon or Miss Teresa with any questions they had or concerns. And they placed them on a Google document and then us 3 would answer. So Shannon would answer any budget questions. I'd answer legal or minutes or anything I knew, and Teresa would do the same. And it seemed to go really well because a lot of the teachers had similar questions. And so it was just kind of all on there. Then we met on Monday as a staff and we gave time for the staff to discuss. There were some couple questions. We showed a document I created that compares and contrasts the schedules of 7 schools, 2 of which are in the valley, and the rest are comparable in either size and economic, demographics to the area. A couple of them were K-12, but we would be their size if we were K-12. But that was just easier because most schools are K-12 over on the other side if they're independent. So it went really well. The staff had really great questions and things to think about. We ended up doing a vote where they would just sign on a sheet that they had voted, not what their vote was, and then fill out an anonymous ballot and put it in the box that there was no pressure or concern about, if, feeling pressure, they could just be completely free. The total was, we had 17 in favor and 4 against for the 4-day school week. So it was overwhelmingly in favor.
okay, does anybody else have any input?
One thing I wanted to point out on that was as far as economic being the same district wise. I read off the free and reduced numbers from the other schools on the last meeting. I didn't have them written down for this one. But I would disagree with that statement. I think we're in a financially different position as far as our community.
For all 7 schools, Rob?
No, the two that are in our area that we
Oh,
pulled.
yeah, no, so the first 2 I listed because the staff wanted to know what they were doing because they were close. And then the other ones were closer economically to us. Sorry, I misspoke. I did include both Cayuse and FME just because they were close and teachers wanted to see what those schedules looked like. Because those may be potential teachers to partner with and ask questions. And then I did the other schools were closer to us. Sorry, I sure made that more clear. Sorry. Oh, I can't hear you.
Oops, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so, community members were they regular community members or were they?
So we had one, or I have 3, the 3 that, so there was a teacher and then 4 community members. 3 of them were parents of, kids. And then the other one was our staff member. So we had our staff member, 3 parents, and then we had one that is in the community but doesn't have kids, and they were just asking, would we do Monday or Friday? So there was no strongly worded opposition. It was just like, I prefer Friday, I prefer Monday. How many days would we have? How would it affect the schedule? And then that's the response that I sent to the board, was that one actual pretty really well thought out question that I responded to and sent to you guys my response. The rest were just them wanting to kind of put their voice in on what day they prefer.
Do you think we would get any more responses if we held like a Marion meeting? Do you think we're gonna get people to come and respond or?
I mean, one can always hope, but from what I've seen with other similar things, we tend to get the same really involved parents who want to be a part of the school that come to everything that already are participating. It's really hard, as we talked about in the bond, to get the others that are so busy and trying to support and live their lives to come in and support. I feel like the parents who are already really grounded and rooted in our community already have had the opportunity or come in and ask, like Cindy Hansen comes in and asks questions, and those parents who are involved that want to have a say and want to know what's going on, they already are asking. I haven't heard the biggest theme has been, well, what is it going to look like? Not what is it going to look like as so I can make a decision if I like it or not, just so I can know how to plan next year type thing. Like, okay, if we're going to do it, what will it look like? It's not necessarily if we should or not, but that's my own personal opinion. I haven't had anybody ask to sit down and talk about it that's not in the school and wants to sit and figure it out for the kids or scheduling. So
How long has ceremony been doing it for?
FME, this was their first year.
Their first-
Cayuse has been doing it 4, or I'm not sure how long. The other schools were that I listed on at least that list I sent out. One is 10 years, 7 years, and then 5, 4, 5. Make sure the rest ones.
And do you know if any of them regretted going to the 4-day?
None. No, the most recent one that I know was the school I worked at before I came here, Ulm. They just switched this year. And I called and talked to their old clerk, their principal, and a teacher, Julie, who actually taught me in first grade. And she said they would never go back. But when we had our staff meeting, we did make it really clear that we are leasing this idea, not, buying a house. This is if we try it and we all as a staff see, hey, we don't like it, we don't think the kids are progressing. This staff is not above saying they're not in it for that extra day off. They're really not. They're in it for the kids. And I can see how some school districts have a really hard time switching back. But I just know all of our teachers are not worried about the extra day. They're concerned if it's going to be good for the kids. And I think if we keep that mindset and we discover, hey, this isn't working for us, this isn't working for the school, we're not seeing the gains, I know this staff would be a lot more willing to go back if they felt necessary for the kids. If we kept that the focus, not just, oh, this is a lifestyle change, you know? So and that's my personal opinion, and I've talked to several of the staff and they all feel the same way. If it doesn't work, we're not gonna fight going back if that's what's best for the children, so.
So Julia, on that note, a question just popped up in my head of, let's say we try it for a year, the board feels it's not going well, they're not happy with it, but let's say the staff does still want to continue. Who's ultimately, can the board decide to reverse that, or is that a negotiated thing? Like, can we change that back, or is that a staff MEO thing?
Sherry,
Ultimately,
Deb Silk is typing.
Okay.
I
Um,
just said, I
You're
sent her that
asking the
same question.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
she's,
gonna take a crack at it because I don't know, but I do believe it's up to the board unless there's specific language in the MEO that states they want 4-day or things like that. Because right now the teacher's contract is listed in, there's calendar must be under 183 days. It doesn't state how many hours they have to work or how many days they have to work. It just has to be under. You can't schedule more than 183 days. And I've scoured the contract for that.
Okay.
And it does that. So I'm not sure what she'll say. I'm curious.
Okay, thank you. It just popped into my head. So
Deb Silk replied, yes, it triggers the requirement to bargain the change in terms and
Oh.
conditions. So if there is a motion, it should be subject to and conditioned upon bargaining over the impacts on teachers. She also says I can vote.
So Rob, was your question regarding this vote tonight, or if in the future if we were to go back?
In going to 4 days, it needs to be conditional if we make that motion,
Okay, thank you.
because it is subject to bargaining, so they have to approve it.
Okay.
And that was
thank
going to
you.
be my concern for tonight. I will just speak my opinion. I want a 4-day week. We're rushing it, and that scares me. I would probably still vote for it tonight. But I also have concerns, as I'm sure most of us do. My question is, and she answered that question about it being conditional, but you know, my what ifs were, what if the staff didn't go for it? I think they will based on the numbers that we've seen. But what if we reach an impasse in negotiations? Like, you know, we can't make it work with the 4-day, then what? So it's almost like we have to have a backup plan negotiating. I don't know, but the conditional thing I like because we can make the motion conditionally, we can take it to MEO, work on it, and then they bring it back to us.
Anybody else have anything to add or any questions or concerns?
Well, my concerns would be on this extra day off, childcare. I know of several families here in the community that are already struggling just with after-school issues and even some weekends for parents who have to work on Saturdays. Now, if they have another day, I know of some close calls that families have already had. Maybe their kids weren't being watched as well as they should have been by either neighbors or older siblings. And that's led to some investigations. And I would be very interested to see in a community like this of similar economic status, the Child Protective Services reports between before and after switching from a 5-day to a 4-day week, if they had an increase in reports and cases.
I know when Trevor was here, he said that, he didn't say anything, speak to any of that. He just said that the families did have to do some shuffling, you know, to make sure that all the kids, you know, had the care that they need. That's when it would be nice to have some kind of a daycare or care facility in the area that would, you know, to be able to, you know, take some of that on. But unfortunately, it's been tried and run its course a few times here in Marion. There's several of them.
And also, That's really always been one of the biggest things that comes up when discussing a 4-day for any school district. What are they going to do with the kids on Friday? Of the 3 schools that I have, my friend worked in Centerville when they went to a 4-day school week. I worked in Cascade when they went to a 4-day school week. And then Alm has recently gone to the 4-day school week, and I was there when they started the conversation. Every time the school has been like, well, we'll put together a Friday school or a Friday care. Within 6 weeks, and Trevor said the same thing, within 6 weeks, families pull out. It's more of a struggle to get the kids there more consistently. Even when they offered busing, they eventually just were like, okay, we're just gonna put them elsewhere.
However, they are trying that.
Mhm.
And basically said what they end up with is the kids who don't need to be there
Yep.
are there.
Mhm.
The kids who need to be there are the
Are
ones
not
who
there.
don't show up.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunately the same situation as summer. There's not a good opportunity for a lot of our kids in this school. One thing, I did have 2 staff members come to me, and they have decided they want to start looking for grants to, instead of doing an after-school program, to do a Friday school program. So instead of it would be the same sort of thing, but they are really interested in running some sort of like extra academic thing on a Friday. If they can get the grant funding, they're pretty excited about it. So I gave them their permission to start looking around and see if they can, get that all worked out, and I'll give them support on that when we know more. So I thought that was very awesome of them to volunteer that way to get that looked into. Oh, hold on.
Can I say something about the Friday thing?
Are we taking public comment?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is Cindy Hansen. So my family lives over in Bonners Ferry, Idaho, and in Boundary County, all the schools are a 4-day school. And so they were telling me that because Friday's their day off, and they were talking about how at the school there's offered, oh, I forget what it's called, but like some kind of like childcare type thing for those families who need it. And then if you don't need it, then you don't go. So I think that that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I know that's what they do over there. And it
Awesome.
worked out really well.
Thanks, Cindy.
You're welcome.
Did any of our community members who had questions, was any of it about that, about a concern of childcare or anything?
No, not at all. It was all about what day so we can plan and the theory behind why they would support each day. I personally am not sure about Shannon or anyone else, but I haven't been asked by anybody concerned about that day. But of course, I'm sure there are people concerned, but I just haven't received any feedback myself, although I've been pretty consumed with spring sports. So there is that possibility also.
Well, and I just know that in my time being involved in Marion School, we went from, there was this huge amount of people coming to the after school program to where it dwindled down to very small numbers. Then we lost our grant. Then we tried to offer it in a different way, and those numbers just continued to dwindle. So I think it might be kind of a similar thing. Like if people have it and they're used to it, they might use it. But if it's not available, they figured it out. You know what I mean? And a lot of our families, not all, but a lot of our families have one parent working and one parent staying home. In our community. That's just kind of how it is from my perspective. So
one of the things I want to discuss tonight, and you may have already mentioned it, my headphones just went out. Are we discussing days are we discussing calendar today or just the days?
No, this one is just to approve we will be doing a 4-day school week, and then it'll be just like normal. Well, the calendar committee will meet, make 2 options, take it to the staff to get feedback, go back, fix those options, and then they'll vote, and then we'll bring that vote and the 2 calendars to the board for you guys to make your determination.
Okay, so at this point, it's kind of a waste of time to talk about which day.
Yes.
Okay.
I do have a question concerning that. So does the community get any say in what day we have off? Or is it all going to be teachers and board?
The community can come to the board meeting, which the calendar is presented, to be heard, or just come and discuss their concerns with me. I'd love to hear that, to gather some feedback when we go into work and create the calendar. But the school has always had, a school and school board has always been the determiner of the calendar.
Okay, that's good to know.
I
Yeah,
think it's ultimately going to be the school board's decision, but we want input, and
yes.
that's what the surveys and everything has been about. Is we want to hear everything so that we can make the best decision for our community.
Okay, that's good, because the majority of people, when they hear a 4-day school week, they think Monday through Thursday. They think Fridays are off.
Yeah, and we'll totally have all the time to discuss that. And, you know, please feel free to send anyone my way, Cindy, or to the calendar committee. We'll gather up some information when we're ready to make those calendars and stuff like that when we get to that discussion.
Okay.
Okay, do we have anything else? Any more input?
Seeing none.
Okay, we need a motion.
I'll make a
I
motion.
move to. Oh,
Yeah.
we may have to change it, but I move to conditionally approve the 4-day week, or the 4-day week conditioned upon bargaining, upon collective bargaining.
I'll second that motion.
Is there any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Anyone opposed?
Said that Deborah Suck told him he could vote.
Oh, really? Okay.
Isn't that what you said, Rob?
What's that?
Deborah Silk said you could vote tonight?
Yeah, and then I spaced out. I was reading the comments. Deborah Silk. She said, nothing in the law prevents you from voting on the issue. The collective bargaining process also impacts your wife's compensation, but again, there is nothing to prevent you from voting on the CBA.
Interesting. All right, thank you, Rob, for that info. That's good. Okay. So we are gonna move forward with a 4-day school week. Now it goes back to the calendar. You guys can figure out, you want to do Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Friday. Get input from all of those that might need to have some input on it.
Will you do like a survey with the staff to see?
What we'll do is we'll meet.
Which
Teresa has already put that out.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a survey that will start, then we'll meet as a calendar committee and make a 5-day schedule, or excuse me, make a Monday off schedule and make a Friday off schedule. And then we'll have a staff meeting where the staff will get to kind of look at it, pick it apart, give us some ideas. Because a big group is, always is the first to point out issues that you may have not seen. And then we'll take, if they're like, oh no, these are fine, we'll vote on which one they like. And then we'll bring both calendars that are completed or all whatever with that feedback to the board for Monday and Friday, along with the results of the vote from the staff. And then the board will make the final decision using all of that information. That way, if the community wants to come and have some stuff in comment, then they have another, an additional way to say their opinion too.
Okay. Collective bargaining.
Sorry, go ahead.
Collective bargaining could potentially be pretty labor intensive. And I know one thing's going to depend on another. The schedule is going to depend, and it's going to have to go back and forth. But I would say start collective bargaining as soon as you can on the things that we know, and we'll have to leave the things that we don't know open for as we wait for things from the calendar committee. But it's the back and forth process is going to take us into July probably.
So Rob,
go ahead.
the first negotiation meeting is Monday, this coming Monday. We're hoping to not stretch it out that long if we can avoid it, because
And I could be wrong.
We really want to get people their contracts by June 1st. if possible. So,
I could be wrong. As you know, I don't.
but you're
do
right. I mean, it
negotiations,
could,
so,
yeah, that could
um,
happen. But I mean, our goal is to do what we can to make it expeditious. And we do know a lot of things we can already go ahead and, well, now that we had this tonight's vote, we can really just jump into most things. So, yeah,
Good.
thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, future agenda items, we have Chris Sampley's resignation.
Didn't we accepted it last,
We accepted her for,
wasn't that part of last? No, it wasn't.
No,
no, you're right, no, she sent her actual
after.
undone letter, undone, that's right. So,
So I've got calendar. Next month is big.
Mhm.
There's a lot. May's gonna be a long one. You have to do reorganization of the boards, so swear in all the trustees again, appoint a board chair, co-chair, appoint the clerk. And volunteers distributed.
oh,
And then the classified staff renewal. Renewing Julia's contract.
yep, she'll have to get with
The bargaining,
the bargaining, with the bargaining people, and
duke it out.
there you go, duke it out. Discuss whatever you need to discuss.
Implies it's you against you, and that's not what we're doing. It's all of us.
I should have brought this up in discussion, but I think it's relevant. I think we should still keep hitting the community with blurbs, like updates. You know, the board has decided to move forward with the board. That gives the neighbor opportunities to tell their neighbor in case they haven't heard, and to keep seeking that input. You know, as we start looking at calendars and things. I want the community as involved as they are willing to be.
I like that idea, Rob. Good point.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else for future agenda? Information? Okay, Rob,
I move to adjourn.
I second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you everyone for
Thank you.
coming. Half hour.
Ooh, can we do this